Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm King Geel.
And today, fuck me, bro. Today, on the Weekly Scroll Podcast, we are going over Cloud Empress, which I said like 3 times I was going to go grab my copies of, and I didn't. So at some point, I will do that. Yeah, Cloud Empress by what? As I'm pulling up the notes that I also didn't pull up, initial thoughts. Give me 1-2 lines. Nothing crazy.
Cool, weird, science fantasy giant bugs that eat bones.
Yeah. So we've had Watt on twice now. The creator of the game wants to do a creator cut before the campaign dropped, and blown away. It's amazing.
Right.
Amazing.
Amazing.
And then we had them on more recently post campaign to do kind of like a post-mortem and a look forward. Fantastic episode. Loved everything that they did. With anyone that's going to run a Kickstarter, please go watch that episode or listen to Watt. Like,
I think there are a lot
great job.
of very good lessons. If you're going to run a project, like Watt did everything like really incredibly well.
Yeah, as correctly as you can with like as you can plan for, and then when things came up, handle that extremely well. Also,
yeah, open communication. Yeah, I mean, expectations were set like appropriately, and they were moved appropriately through communication as small things change. Yeah, I mean, great project. I'm super happy with it. I've read some criticisms of it online, and like a lot of them I don't actually really agree with. I was incredibly happy with this project. I think I like that there's a bunch of little books. So,
well, we talked about why there is a bunch of little books. Like, would I love this eventually? Okay, I'm gonna and stop yelling. So I'm gonna put that right in center, right there. For those in podcast land, I have little signs to remind myself. Stop yelling. I have a sexier voice when I don't yell. So
listen.
Yes, we need to do the podcast. So stop yelling. So I said and then yelled it. So failed immediately. Anyway, we were talking about what they rock. Sure. The game is sick. Oh, we talked about why it's a bunch of little books, because honestly, it would have just cost a lot more if it was one giant hard book.
Totally. And I like that it's so like, if I'm running this, I don't really need to bring all the books to the table every single time. I just need to bring the main crawl and whatever hexes are closest to hit. And that's it. And I don't have to bring a big book every time. I don't want to bring a big book every time to the table. So
here's the thing: is of course I want a big hardback special edition, but that's for like the 3rd or 4th Kickstarter. You know what I mean?
I super agree.
Yeah. There's other projects that are currently trying to fund right now that have too many bits and bobs and have too high a goal. And I think that what did with Cloud Empress was extremely. We randomly just got into such a random side tangent. Sorry for all those listening. Anyway, Watt's been on a couple of times. We've talked about Cloud Empress a bunch. We're finally going to review it today on stream. My Adderall wore off. Whew, so we're focusing in here. Here's the thing. Do you have the rest of your box set with you? Do you have
everything except the patches? The patches are in my patch container, but I can get them if I need to.
So fantastic. So if you got the full deluxe edition of Cloud Empress, you got what is the main book, the rule book, the Land of Cicadas, which is the lore book, and like all the hex map stuff. Yep. And then a bunch of adventures. Yeah, a bunch of adventures by a bunch of amazing content creators. Content is a fine word, people. Amazing writers. And each one got their own little pamphlet, which was super cool. Oh, and the map. That's right. It's dope. We will talk about the maps a little bit. Anyway, so focusing in, we're doing Cloud Empress today, people. So I took fucking notes for this. I have a whole intro and write up. We're prepared because we've talked about this game a bunch, and we're gonna talk about it some more.
I've talked about this game a lot.
Cloud Empress. Let me. I'm gonna put this here, and we're gonna go through this. So Cloud Empress is an ecological science fantasy RPG with a Nausicaa-inspired fantasy setting, built on the bones of the Mothership RPG. The writing, graphic design, and layout were by Watt. Editing and development was by Roz Leahy, with additional editing and development by Meat Castle Gameware's Christian Sorrell, who we just spoke with recently.
Yeah.
Who's We spoke with Originally, who is itch funding Tacticians of a tactical game they created that is fantastic right now. If you're listening, Google or itch or whatever, go to itch, find Christian Sorrell, back Tacticians of It blew past its initial goal. It's already on the second goal. That's great. Also, random side note, Greenhorns from very good friend of the show, Spicy Tuna, aka Marco Serrano, dropped this morning. Number 1, baby.
Typical.
And so go back that too, because it rocks. We already did part 1 on the show, and part 2 is coming up. Back to the notes. The project, we're talking about Cloud Empress now, was successfully funded on Kickstarter on February 9th, 2023, with 2,088 backers, raising $98,257. And on January 9th of this year, fulfillment was declared complete, and the first expansion, the Life and Death expansion, was announced. That'll be dropping April 2nd, I believe. And it is the 2 different books. I'll say this again at the end because that's where it is in the notes. There's the Land of the Living and Land of the Dead. Each is a 50-page hex crawl expansion coming in April. And who knows? Maybe we'll see WoD again. We will. Yeah. They'll be here. They will be here.
Cloud Empress episode number 5.
Yes. We're literally going to have a whole playlist of just Cloud Empress because we fucking enjoy this game. It's good. Yeah,
I'm really into this game. Like, thematically, it's very much a hunter game, you know?
Yeah, it's a U game. Like, I really enjoy it. It's not a Ryan game, though, at all. But it is very much a hunter game, and I can appreciate that. The best part that I wrote notes this time, we chatted about and played Cloud Empress on Creator Cuts episode number 5, which is between episode 62 and 63. If you want to hear some initial 30-minute interview with WoD about Cloud Empress and then watch us play with Cloud Empress running it. And then we also interviewed WoD. We already talked about that on episode 122 and did the postmortem and the campaign fulfillment and the look forward there. So that's the intro to Cloud Empress.
Great intro, honestly.
Listen, a little scatterbrained. I'm not gonna lie. We were in pre-stream for 20 minutes for a reason because we couldn't focus in. But we'll get there.
It has been already a rough morning, so.
Hey, I'm awake, feeling good with a full belly, so we're getting there. Anything you have to say before we hop into the game read through?
I think that this is a fantastic project, and I can't wait for more of it. That's my takeaway.
I'm very excited for the Land of the Living, and obviously for the Land of the Dead. Yeah. So, because Land of the Dead's my shit. Boom. Cloud Empress, ecological science fantasy RPG. How about the freaking art all the way through this entire thing? Incredible.
Yeah. The art's really crazy. So there's 3 different artists on here. It's PB Beta, Garen, and Huanji. And let me tell you that it's 4 because Imogen's in here as well. And the art is so contiguous all the way through. Like it's all so thematically correct. And I think it fits in really well together. That I forget that there's multiple artists, honestly.
Yeah. There's one page where it kind of stood out to me a little bit. I think it's the rest page, and it's the only time where I was like, oh, huh. Other than that, not that it's bad, it's just that I noticed a style change. But it's a gorgeous page, so it doesn't matter. I was just saying it's the only time that I even noticed that there was 4 artists in the book. But the whole style, I especially love this soft halftone oranginess that they do a lot, the cover. So anyway, do we want to come back to the tables in the beginning when we hit them in the rules, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's they're really cool, but it's weird to do them outside of context.
Right. But that's very Mothership.
Yeah, especially the cursed roles. It'd be cool to talk about curses and then go back to them. But yeah,
same thing with wounds and
the
panic.
Very front. Yeah. Very Mothership.
Wounds, panic, miscasts, and curses. I like though that the tables are all in the front 2 pages, the back 2 pages, because if you have the book at the table, it's super easy to know that you just have to flip to either the front cover or the back cover. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Credits, again, we already said game, graphic designer, layout by Watt, illustration by everyone that Hunter just said. It'd be cool if these are hyperlinked, but it's just in the credits, so like that doesn't bother me nearly as much. There's some sensitivity readers. There is a section here, and I think it's in all the books, that talks about Cloud Empress written on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. And basically says that, colonialism sucks. We live on oppressed land, and they stand in solidarity with native nations, advocating for the return of indigenous lands to indigenous peoples. I agree.
Yeah, so, same. Yeah, free good. Palestine. So
yeah. So there are many types of, yes, obviously. There are many types of games that do many different things. Cloud Empress has not been made to... I love this. I love that... everyone has their own kind of little version of this. Some people are like, if you're fascist, kick rocks, I really enjoy this take here. As I said, there are many types of games that do many different things. Cloud Empress has not been made to treat the environment as an object to plunder, enact power fantasies, especially violent ones, degrade, humiliate, oppress, or create caricatures of other beings. And there's a content warning that says Cloud Empress rule book contains large bugs, mental illness, blood, amputation, military occupation, gun violence, and violence to insects. Great intro page.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad for the... Yeah, I'm glad for that.
Yeah. And then we get to the index. Yeah. Gotta say, I'm out of... I don't like it for a couple of reasons. I love the outside, but what are your thoughts on the index page?
Yeah. It's a little cramped.
Yeah.
So.
I don't like it. I think it probably should have been 2 pages, but here's my issue with the index page. First of all, it is hyperlinked, which is fantastic. And it is bookmarked, which is cool too. But like, what's weird is not all the sections are in the index, and not all of the index sections are in the bookmarks. Yeah. And but I'm fine with all of that. Some of the really small things that are like 1 paragraph, fine, whatever, that's fine. The thing that bothers me the most, and I think could be solved easily by just bolding, is that there's like, the book is broken into parts. It really is. Like, there's a character section, there's a rule section, but like, it's not, the index isn't broken into parts. You know what I mean? Like, rules is in the same, it looks the same as everything else. Character looks the same as everything else. Even if they wanted to keep the same layout of this design, which honestly, I think it should just be uncramped in 2 pages, or even like just split it into 2 columns would have been fine. I really wish that character creation was just bolded and rules was bolded. You know what I mean? And once it hits like the tables at the bottom, like just bold those. Cause like from names and aliases down is pretty much just tables or bestiary stuff,
Do you think it'd be better if there was like a section, subsection thing going on?
Well, if they wanted to keep this style of very clean 1 column, whatever, just bold it, I'd be fine with that. I do think that breaking it out into, even if they want to do 1 page, 2 columns, and like rules big, and then like things indented slightly, because again, the game it's clearly broken kind of into like part 1, part 2, with some stuff at the end. Like, I wouldn't have minded if there was a little bit more distinct, because when I first flipped to this page, like, it really did take me a second to be like, where the fuck are the rules? And then I was like, oh, it's in the rules part with everything else. It's fine. But again, it is also weird that like, I was like, okay, I went through all of these, wrote them all down so we could take notes, and then found like 5 sections that aren't listed here. You know what I mean? So, but again, really tiny stuff that might not necessarily need its own index page. But more than anything, I would just say that I wouldn't mind that if the character creation and rules were broken out to make it a little bit more clear in the index. Also, real quick, I want to scroll all the way to the back to address this, and we'll kind of address it at the end. There's a glossary. There's a glossary, which is fantastic. Right? But I feel like this information would be nice at the beginning. More than at the very end, kind of, you know what I mean? Would you? I guess glossaries are always in the back, but like, maybe there's just some information in here that's explained in ways that are explained more easily than earlier in the book. Like when I first read Cloudlings and Lordlings, I had to read it over and over again to be like, what the fuck is the difference between a Cloudling and a Lordling? And we'll get to that. But the Cloudling is clearly broken down in this a little bit more definitively.
Personally, I don't know. I think of like UVG, which has like a ton of lore in it and a lot of words being used, and there's a glossary in the back. Like, I like how unbroken this feels lore-wise when you read it through. It's not like talk about Cloudlings going, oh yeah, by the way, Cloudlings and Lordlings are this. Like, I actually do kind of appreciate that it doesn't like step away from the lore to explain everything out, but there's a glossary in the back for the terms that are a little bit more foreign. God, I just said, Ryan, you did this to me.
I did.
But yeah, I think I like it. I don't mind it. So
I don't mind it. I think when we get to oh shit. I think when we get to the sections I'm talking about, we can discuss it again, but it was just something I wanted to touch on in the beginning. So
hey Ryan, can I ask what
is,
version of Cloud Empress you have open right now? Because your glossary page is different from the book and the other PDF. Just
1.01. Which one do you have?
Not that one. I think I have
You have a more updated version?
Let's see. I'm looking at 1.01. Yeah, I am too. Oh, interesting. Okay, well.
Okay, well then get off my back about it.
Weird, the glossary looks different.
Yeah, I'm just going to get this out of the way.
For those of you listening, I'm sure this is very riveting hearing that the glossary has 2 different art pages, but
yeah, so different. Anyway, okay, so let's get cracking in here. So again, we talked about the tables in the beginning. Fuck, we are super unfocused today, huh? So hopping in, great art right off the bat. Again, I love this spread here with the art and the cicadas in the sky, and then like the orange art of the people with like the giant pigeon and shit. Like, it's so vibey instantaneously. Like, as soon as you see this page especially, you're like, oh, this is weird. This is weird science fantasy weird, and I'm in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a giant bird. Their outfits are obviously very science fantasy, and then there's giant cicadas in the sky. And even the buildings, you're like, okay. You know?
It does capture like a lot of, I know obviously it's very inspired by Nausicaa, but it does capture a lot of like the feel of being in that world.
You know what?
What
happened? So I had actually set up, I must have accidentally deleted it. I had set up a Cloud Empress because this book is actually read to be like really, really good to be in spreads. So give me 1 second.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is actually the Land of the Cicadas is the cover. So we're not going to really talk about the Land of Cicadas, but do you want to just do like a quick what is Land of Cicadas? It's the other primary book of the project.
Yeah.
But
so
what is it?
The Land of Cicadas is it is both like it's pretty much a hex crawl and lore book. Like, it gives you a hex crawl, like a fairly decent sized hex crawl to run through with your characters. It gives you a lot of context about like the world and its history, and like what running through these different biomes essentially is like, because the land's divided up. The hex map of the lowland waste is divided up between the, what is it called, the basket, the bread basket, the weeds, the thick wood, and then the rust bucket, which is it's like a good size hex crawl within 2 hexes. I thought was interesting. But yeah, it tells you about like the procedures for hex crawling, hunting and gathering food, and then some key locations and characters. And there are a lot of locations on the hex crawl that are actually even further filled in by the like separate playbooks that you get, like the Labyrinth of the Bride, these little adventure pamphlets, which is nice because you can remove these, not pamphlets, but zines. These little adventure zines, you can have them as standalone adventures and just run that adventure, or you could visit them as part of a massive hex crawl, kind of depending on what works for your table and your group. I'm a hex crawl boy, so my table will be playing this eventually. But yeah, it's a really cool hex crawl that has a lot of information, but it doesn't feel like, first off, it doesn't feel like you need to know all of it all of the time. It just really informs you about kind of the vibe and the themes. I don't know what to say. Wow, I'm really unfocused today as well. I've had a couple of focus days,
that's really great. Well, one of the things you said is one of the thing I really do like, because I'm the kind of person that like I just homebrew all my own adventures and shit, or I'll take adapted parts of adventures, and it is really cool that with the extra pamphlets and with the extra zines, you can use them or not use them. So if there's like an empty hex or something that those fill, you can just be like, like I'll just fill those spots, but like maybe I'll use a little bit of inspiration. So it's nice that there is both filled and unfilled spot. It's like a Schrodinger's hex. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of decide what you want to do with it.
Schrodinger's adventure zine.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is throw a blank page in, because so much of the zine is in spreads and actually reads a lot easier in spreads. So this might be one that we actually look at in spreads a lot of times. So let's see. So like this page, for example, but when we get to later stuff, especially like the character creation page, it is across a spread, and the normal PDF, like it's broken across 2 pages. So you can't like look at it next to each other unless you insert a page. So that's what I did. So welcome to the Hereafter. So there's 3 sections right in the beginning, and I'm going to kind of break all of it down into one and then come back to it. So welcome to the Hereafter is a very, first of all, the prose in this book, fucking fantastic. What is a fantastic really writer. My goodness. We're not going to read a lot of it today because we would be here for 3 hours like we were with a 120 page book. But it's so good. It's incredibly well written. It's so vibey. I really like a lot of it. But there's the Welcome to the Hereafter section. The Hereafter is like the here and now. It's a setting. And then there is a What is Cloud Empress, which is a quick breakdown of like what it is, but also like gather the following when you play rolling dice. I'm going to come back to that. There's a picture here of torturers, which I'll get to in a second, with like a kind of like writings, like an in lore writing about the torturers, like a quote unquote story of what they were. And then there's also, like you said, in the Land of Cicadas, there is it's a setting book and the Hexcrawl book. So like it sets into like what's happening in the world right now. So between all of those sections, I'm going to kind of break all of those down into one simple, easy kind of thing real quick so we can cruise through that. So, and of course I said, so basically
we're trying to improve y'all, I swear. Probably.
We're getting there. So Cloud Empress is an ecological science fantasy setting inspired by Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, Dune, and Full Metal Alchemist. The story of it goes like this. Long ago, in a time before the sky was darkened, there was an ancient people of unmatched power and cruelty called torturers. My assumption, probably us. To end their destruction, the world was basically nuked into oblivion, and the torturers, seeing what they wrought, fled into the stars. Now, most people live in what's known as the lowland wastes currently in the Hereafter, which still has areas of radioactive fallout. But there is a magical soot in the lowland wastes called chalk, which gives spellcasters power and is sought by cloudlings. Cloudlings and their lordlings, which are the rulers of the cloudlings, live in sky cities hanging from anchors in space. And they think they have a right to everything, as nobility is wont to do. But of course, things are worse than that because time and space are slippery, and you or other things can slip into or out of both space and time at various times when the slip opens. And at the center of all of that are the imago, which are massive, like 30-foot cicadas that feed on the bones of the dead. Usually they're manageable, only a few hundred total, but every 100 years the century brood appears, when thousands upon thousands of imago claw up from deep within the soil and reduce any existing civilization to ruin. In the setting book, which we just talked about in the Land of Cicadas, what's going on is that the 29th expedition, which is a military incursion by the Cloudlings into the lowland wastes, has commenced. And by fate or the powers that be, the century brood arrived 7 years early. While at the same time, the Cloud Empress, the supposed to be bride of the Emperor, has gone missing. And that's where we are in the Hereafter. It is a land of radioactive fallout, magical chalk, warps in space-time, an encroaching military expedition by those that claim to be in power, all of which is under the shadow of thousands upon thousands of giant cicadas that are here to eat your bones and fuck shit up.
Beautiful.
Was that a good? Would you think that was?
I think it was great. I would say that the distinction is, so the Imago are actually attracted to the chalk, which is a pollutant that gets into your bones, which is why they want to eat your bones, is because chalk is a almost like an extra dimensional pollutant, essentially, right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that for the chalk section, but yeah, that's 100% what it is. Yeah. The torturers brought chalk from a parallel dimension to fuel their machines, and now that it's polluting everything, it travels up the food chain from like the dirt to the bugs to the animals to the people, gets in our bones, gets eaten by the cicadas. And then when the cicadas die, people scrape the chalk from their carapaces to use.
Mine their bodies.
Yeah, so it's like it's this weird kind of circle of life, quasi-parasitic thing, just to get this magic chalk. So I mean, it's so fucking good. Like that's so good. It's so good.
It's a really, I like the foundation of the setting, but I also like the time period in which you're dropped into the setting, which is like, oh, everything's happening at once. There's almost complete chaos. And it's just like, it's so close to the end of the world almost, with like the Century Brood and the 29th expedition and like the Cloud Empress disappearing. Like, oh my God, there's a lot going on at once. Yeah. In a place that I feel like there is space here for like a more pastoral adventure, maybe in a time period where everything's not about to be crushed by giant cicadas.
Well, the other thing too is like the Century Brood is coming out and fighting shit or whatever, but like it's not the entire lowland wastes. Like you could really just like pick the areas that they're like the 29th expedition and the cicadas are kind of encountering each other. And if you're farther away, you might not even know. Like if you're in a relatively isolated town, you might not even know the Century Brood came out like 7 years early, you know?
Yeah.
So you can play a very pastoral kind of like, oh no, da 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 da. And like, how cool would that be to like, especially if your players didn't know about all of this and you were just kind of being like, oh, like having normal adventures. And suddenly it's just like fucking military expedition comes over the hill, cicadas come over the hill, and you're like in the middle and it's like, what is going on? And suddenly your players are throwing into, holy shit, this isn't just pastoral stuff. Like we're literally in like the end times. Like that's just crazy. So that would be cool. That's one thing that is all like, I buy a lot of adventures. Of all the things on my shelves that I read fewer than anything else, it's adventures, because I don't want to be ruined just in case someone runs it for me, you know? No one will, but like, you know, because I don't want to know all this information just in case, you know? Anyway, so that kind of breaks down the whole beginning section of Cloud Empress. So back to the what is Cloud Empress section. I already said it's ecological science fantasy, etc., etc. The players are players. The person that runs is called a warden, just like Mothership. Gather the following game stuff. When you play, I do like this. This is quick little like principles. When you play, ask questions. The warden is there to answer questions about the environment and everything. This is. I don't mind this as like a what is RPG or like what do you need to do. This is quick, brief, you know, to the point. Kind of mixing with principles. I like this. So ask questions, travel carefully, and create an environment of safety are the three things. So. Travel carefully means that characters in Cloud Empress aren't heroes. You're realish people. You're super fucking squishy. Like you will die. Like be careful. Travel carefully. Be smart. The world is out to literally eat your fucking bones. So you know, do what you guys do.
Literally, yeah.
And then create an environment of safety. Help make your table a welcoming space. Use like be a good person. Use safety tools if you need to. And check-ins and all that stuff frequently, because you know there are parts of the setting that do get a little brutal, you know, like things eating your bones and shit.
Totally. It's funny, you know, with kind of what we were talking about before we got on stream, which we all need to go and deepen, and some discussions I've had with other people in like gaming space. I forget how like non-toxic all of my tables I sit at are. Like my friends are like genuinely good people and there to make each other comfortable. I forgot that there is like tables where people are like adversarial or looking to make people uncomfortable, or just totally not cognizant of that as a thing.
Yeah. A quick aside to that is you don't have to sit at those tables, people. It's better to not play the game than to play a shitty game that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's actually
never feel
very
obligated.
true.
Yeah, like you like get up and leave. Like it's fine. And if someone's shitty at your table, don't invite them back. Like every time I see some page, it's like advice on how to deal with a problem player. The fact that it's more than 1 sentence long always pisses me off. Like don't deal with them. Don't invite them back. Like if they're about problem player because they don't know, educate them. If you educate them and there's still a problem, get fucking rid of them. You don't have to play with these people. There's 8 billion people in the world. Way too many of them are douchebags. Don't talk to them. Don't interact with them. Tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, come to Eugene, Oregon, play at my table. You know.
There you go. I'm not going to tell you where I live. So rolling dice. Cloud Empress is the metric system. It primarily uses 10-sided dice. You know what 1d10, 2d10, all this stuff is. Regularly ask for checks of roll of 1d100. You roll 2 dice. So wait a minute. Roll 2. I feel like I read this and my brain will never know the difference between the 10s and the 1s and the 0s and stuff. Looking at the results, 1 die is read as the 10s, 1 is read as the 1s. Okay, so on a 10-sided die, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say we have 2 10-sided dice. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. What is 1 and what is 100?
Well, you can only do... Well...
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I don't know either. Anyway, so talked about the torture. I mean, I know at some point, but like it always feels like, you know, you could do it 2 different ways. Another great piece of art.
There are 2 different ways. Like it's either like what 0 to 99 or 1 to 100.
Yeah. Yeah. Great piece of art here. People living lives. I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
So, oh, this is me. So summer traveling parties. Basically, this says that the time that you're playing in right now is the summer, and it's adventure time. Like this time,
the winter picks up, the weather gets better. People are like, yeah, I'm gonna strike out for the summer. I'll gather a small group. Maybe you meet them while you're out on the way. Maybe you leave town with them or wherever you're from, and you just go on a summer adventure while the weather's nice.
Yep. So you join a summer traveling party. It could be sellswords, lordlings, magicians, couriers, whatever it is. That's what you're doing. You know that shit's hitting the fan with the expedition, with the Century Brood, everything. But you're traveling and seeing the world. I like that. I like this as right off the bat. Like
I do too. It's like a weird summer vacation thing.
Through like, a hellscape eventually. Totally,
and I think that like playing up the whole like. It's the cold has just passed. It's now like one of the first warm days. You really like play up that, walking through the breadbasket farmlands, very pastoral, sunny days. Mm-hmm. I do like at the end of that section, it does say if the world ever needed saving, that time has passed. But there's still work to be done. Yeah.
I don't know why this like parts of this. I feel like you could definitely hit some Grave of the Firefly shit. You know what I mean? Like, body hoppers. So
body hoppers.
Yeah, right off the bat, we're just talking about body hoppers. So long story short with body hoppers is people hop bodies. They go from corpse to corpse using magic for survival. And with each new cadaver, they mark their face with tattoos so they recognize themselves. But each time they hop, they're also like shattering parts of their memory. Mm-hmm. And then there's this like kind of like tropey magic used to be stronger thing that's in like everything. Like ancient magicians used to be able to do this like almost surgically, and what we have now is just kind of like a shitty version of it, which is fine. At some point I want to play a game where like you're in peak magic,
in the height of magic. I think that's just hard to like, it's hard to create a rule set for God magic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it would just be a power fantasy, but it's fine. But anyway, so body hoppers are cool as shit. Like you basically bounce from corpse to corpse. It's really neat. It happens. I like it. It's magicians using chalk to bounce from corpse to corpse. It's random. I feel like this isn't a random spot for it, but it's really fucking dope. And the art is really cool too.
Kind of a random spot. But yeah, also I agree.
The slip. So what is the slip? The slip is basically these mile wide, like weird zones that will just appear and disappear, right? And if you get trapped in those spaces, that sucks for you. And things can come in and out of time. Like it can randomly drop like ancient or future machinery in front of you. You could disappear and be gone. Like you could suddenly be in the same spot, but like way earlier. Like it's just anything you can imagine for space and time. It just happens and it's like there and gone. Boom. So you could literally, sometimes it's just unavoidable because it'll just open right around you, which is fucking crazy, which is also a dope way to start an adventure, is to just boom, you're in like a weird zone, you get popped somewhere else, and back to the time of all those great magicians. So the slip is the thing that exists. So the way that chalk and the slip and everything, to me it feels very like the magical radioactive fallout of the nuclear war that we fucked up. Like that's my assumption too, is that like it just,
it's definitely how it feels for me as well.
Yeah. Which I think is cool. Like, spice up the,
I will say that this game is not short on cool. No,
it's not short on cool at all. I will say though, also I do think the slip, I think both of these parts are in a very weird part, and it would be fine if both of these were after all of character creation instead of just like randomly tucked in before. I don't know why. Maybe they just needed to fill a page. But it's just, to me, this feels like it's in a weird spot.
Well, it's interesting because after the next couple pages, it gets into like the character classes, and Body Hopper isn't a class; it's an age, technically, the way the game works. So I kind of understand why it's right before character creation, because it's part of that. But yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's just,
it's definitely not like, I'm not like
so
why,
many times. Yeah, like I think we've both read this zine so many fucking times now. Like it's like we can start picking out the weird stuff. And then we get to character creation. So do we want to just make a character? Is that the easiest way to go through this entire thing?
I'm sure.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah. I do.
So do you want me to read the character creation and you make the character, or do you want me to make it and you read the character creation?
You read and I'll make. How about that?
Okay. So then let's quick run through
I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
All right. Do you want to run through the character classes real quick? And then we'll come back to creating.
Absolutely.
Just like a quick, let's just do like a quick blurb on each of the four. You pick one and we'll go in depth on that. And then we'll create a character using it.
Sure. Who knows what I'm going to pick. So for the jobs, the jobs are the character classes, right? First one's going to be your sellsword, which is your adventure seeking, gun wielding, sword wielding, blade for hire kind of character.
Straight merc. I
will say that one of the things that I really love about this is the tables for all the jobs. And like, it's like, what were you doing last? And it tells you what gear you have with you. And I'm like, oh, that's such a great way to build like a background narrative for your character.
It's so smart. It reminds me a little bit of like Frontier Scum, where like you get your skills by like something that you encountered. That's such a better way to do it. I think it was someone else did a blog recently. It might have been Rise Up Comus. It might have been somebody else. Was it Rise Up Comus? I think it was, who did like character creation as a point crawl, where you literally are like, you have a winter. Oh, dude, I'll send it to you. It's so fucking good. It's like you have a winter to get from here to there, pick your path, and the way you pick the path for your character gives you like background narrative and skills and stuff to get like, it's so fucking good. It's so clever.
Very cool.
Anyway, sellsword. What else we got?
Sellsword. After that, we have the lordling, and this is the rulers of the Cloud City. They are like contested rulers. There's a lot of political intrigue within the lordlings, and so you might be a lord of essentially nothing, but you're still technically a lord. People around you don't really like you that much as a lordling. They're kind of afraid of you.
Because you act like a lordling, right?
Because you act like a lord. It is really funny that you can be a lordling of nothing, and people are still like, oh, and it's like, yeah, but you're just a dude at that point,
Yeah, but you act like you are a lord of a lot.
Right. Yeah. There's some room in there for you to be kind of an impetuous, kind of ignorant lord. And I think there's some fun gameplay around that if you do it not as being a dick.
Oh, for sure. I think I was a lordling in the playtest I did with Christian. And I was a dick.
Yeah, that makes sense. I might do that as well. Actually, I'd probably just play an idiot. And then the magician, which is exactly what it sounds like. You were the magic user of this. And the magic's fucking weird, by the way. Like, it is not like throw fireball. It is a lot more bizarre than that. There are no old wizards. When you lose your wisdom teeth, you pretty much don't have the ability to channel magic anymore. So you can age out of that profession, which I think is very funny.
I mean, also there's a part where it talks about how like parents will rip the wisdom teeth out of their kids to make sure that they don't deal with magic, which is evil and shit, which is like crazy.
Very, very normal human thing. So
yeah, well, it's crazy. That is a very normal human thing. Like,
yeah,
superstitious will rip your wisdom teeth out and then sell them to traveling magicians.
It is 100% what people would actually do if this was real.
We chop the tips of our dicks off and shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, of course people are gonna rip their teeth out.
I think this is the final one, is Courier. Yeah. Courier is the final one, and you're like the hard traveled person. You're a courier. You know the road. You travel well. Weirdly, I love this one actually.
Yeah, the professional traveler.
Yeah.
So fun. It's so good.
Like, you kind of feel like with this being a class, like, wow, every party kind of needs a courier.
A little bit.
You don't need to have anything. But,
you don't need anything, but like it's nice. But the art all the way through is great too. Like the orange vibes again, like the frog person here, the magician, like the woman and the child, the lordling, in full armor with like crazy polka dot shit.
The crazy polka dot shit, because that's the thing about the lordlings is you picked like their garb is ridiculous looking.
Yeah. Because of course it would be. Yeah,
just like if you were in Versailles.
Yeah. And I love the sellsword has like the living armor or whatever. We'll get to that, but it's dope. Like the chest on the eye on the chest. So it's not like you'd pick the magician or anything, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to pick the magician. That'd be fucking crazy. Well, actually, what's going to happen is we're going to do this organically, and if I roll too old to play magician, then I won't play magician because I would dope.
Okay. Well, let's bring up that roller and let's do this. So we're gonna read through character creation. If you look at pages 11 and 12 in the zine, it's the entire character sheet on with like how to build it around it, and then there's like a how to create like numbered section through the bottom, but like that's also exploded out on the sides. This is the great spread in the book. This is the primary reason I wanted to insert that extra page so I could look at this spread together. But then you also realize, like I said, that like looking in, like when you look at in pages, you see this art, then you see the page of sellsword after hits you way different than looking at in spread where you see the lore and the art next to the table. Boom, boom, boom. Like this is definitely like one that I will agree is good to read pages. So character creation. There are 6 total steps. So step 1, determine your stats. Roll 2d10 plus 20 for each stat, and your stats are mind, heart, strength, and speed. So 2d10 plus 20. Don't forget, everyone out there, this is a d10 roll under system. So you want high stats, and then you would roll like your D100 underneath your stat.
Dude, I'm rolling genuinely crazy.
Well, the most you can get is like 40.
Listen, let me enjoy my life, okay?
So, You want to talk it out while you do it? So
yeah, absolutely. So I rolled a 39 for mind.
Oh shit!
Hey, listen, I'm not messing around.
No.
A 29 for heart, which is not as good.
Still good. All right, we got 2 left. Strength and speed.
A 32 for strength.
Sick.
And I forgot to write speed on my little thing, but for speed, this guy's gonna be fast as fuck. I'm telling you, because I got I'm right, actually, a 38 for speed.
Yo, fast as fuck, boy.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Yeah. All right. So that's
I'll
step
roll
1.
saves real quick, which is just 1d10 plus 20. So
step 2.
Step 2
is determine your saves, 1d10 plus 20, and you have 3 saves, which is which is reality, fear, and body. And we'll get to those to explain those a little bit more into the section when we get there. So you do those 3, 1d10 plus 20. What do we get?
I got a 25 for reality, a 25 for fear, and a 24 for body.
Sick. All right. So step.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I mean, the max of 30 when you're rolling fucking really nice.
I never actually rolling really, really well. So.
Well, you got 24, and it's with the plus 20, so you rolled a 4. So yeah.
Hey, that's not a 1.
Hey, it's not a 1. All right. So step 3. Find your character's age by rolling 1d10 and consulting the table below. Your age affects your stats and what job your character can take. So you can roll off. There's 4 different ages. There's on a 1 to 3, you get a teenage. On a 4 to 7, you get full grown. On an 8 to 9, you roll old. And on a 10, you get body hopper. And each one adjusts your stats. So what did you roll?
I love how the body hopper, by the way, is just like fucking strong. You know?
Yeah. But their speed is like gone. You rolled an old man, didn't you?
I did.
No magic for you. Plus 20 to mind, minus 10 to strength, and there are no old magicians. So if you're a magician and you get old, you can't be a magician no more. So no magician
anymore.
Yep, no magician for you. So that is, and I love that it tells you to do all of this before you ever think about picking a class, because this affects what you can be legitimately. Mm-hmm. So at number 4 out of 6, you choose a job and skills. Your job affects your saves and grants you access to different skills. Each job has a unique job condition, which affects how you and the people around you react to things going badly. So if we go down to, so the quote unquote classes are jobs. The Sellsword, Lower League, Magician, Courier, like those are called jobs. Mm-hmm. Like you are, I guess you are your job, but you're not your job, but you are your job in this. But you're not your job.
I'm pick Courier.
I knew if you didn't get Magician, you'd pick Courier. Of course you would. So there's an adjustment to skills again, based on the Courier. So you get a plus 10 to all saves, which is dope.
It's really good.
And you get scrounging, tinkering, and any 2 other skills. So we'll do skills in a second. And you've seen it all once per session. You can make a panic check with advantage. Because don't forget, this game is built on the panic engine. I know Watt had previously done some stuff in Mothership. Panic engine is great. I think this is such a good example of how to take a good system and do something that you would not expect with it, because when you think of Mothership, you think space horror, and this is very weird science fantasy, but it's just because it's a core D100 system. Like it works. It works well for this, I think. Some things could be tweaked a tiny bit, but I think overall, like it really works well for this. So number 5, each job has a table of different backgrounds and gear. Roll 1d10 on each table and write the results on your sheets. So we'll scroll down to the Courier, and you get to roll a 1d10 for your gear.
Okay, on Courier, I'm scrolling down right now. I rolled a 1.
Sick.
Being abandoned. So what were you doing last? Being abandoned by a hijacked barge. My Courier gear. Undercloak wraps. So I'm basically I just have wraps on. 10 cookware. I have a walking staff. That's 1d5 damage. Sunburn. A gourd canteen. Large salted catfish.
That's your whole shit.
So that's funny, because it's honestly like maybe the worst loadout, because it's like, you were just hijacked and you got like, this is all you made it out with. So
that's fucking it. That's crazy. Some of them like if you
10's
got
crazy.
Collecting chalk scraps. Yeah. Camouflage battle casing. Yeah. A chalk cannon, collecting drills and hammers. Yeah. You were literally collecting chalk. I think number 4 is kind of crazy too. Delivering rare thawing medicine from the rust bucket. You're in humming living armor, and you have like a flare rifle and like a. Oh, and you're cursed. You start cursed.
Oh, you start cursed.
That one's
I did
dope.
not see that one. That is very cool.
Okay,
I'm excited to go over curses. The magic in this, like between casting, crests, and curses.
When we get to spells, like we'll talk about it when we get there, but like the effects are like my favorite fucking thing in the entire game. So character creation, click on the hyperlink thing. So that's number 5. So you picked your background and gear already. Everyone starts with enough provisions to feed the traveling party for 1 day. Once each play, blah, blah, blah. 6, finally choose a name and an alias. There's a list on page 47 to help. Inline hyperlinked on that. Page 47. Why don't you just roll? So are you going to do a farmerling name, a cloudling name, a common name, or an ancient name?
Oh, I think I'm going to do a common name. I feel like this is, I have a very common character, you know?
Wait. No, you roll a D100 and you just get one.
Oh. So it's 0099, right?
Yeah, 0099.
Messed up my windows. There we go.
That's the easiest way to do it.
It is actually the easiest way to do it. So 76. So that would make
you did.
Sven.
Oh, I was going to say you missed the common names by 1. You almost got in there.
Almost. But I'm Sven.
Sven the courier. Wait, roll an alias.
Oh, yeah, I got to roll an alias.
Another 100 table.
88.
Oh, shit.
The punk. Sven the punk.
Sven the punk. The old courier. The old punk. You're an old punk. Magicians can't get old, but punks can. And that's your whole shit. That's your whole shebang.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's did I zoom in on this? Yes. So that is character creation. Fucking easy peasy, man. Like how easy was that? Oh, why don't you roll on the traveling with table? Did you get because you get 2 extra skills. So roll on the traveling with table and then pick out 2 skills and then your character's done.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. My brain's not working today, y'all. Okay, so on that table, I rolled a 6. So I have a water bear, a soft floating creature attuned to the slip. So that's definitely what are those things called? A tardigrade. I have a tardigrade. I have a bigger tardigrade.
Like a giant. You're talking about that little weird thing that can survive in space and magma and shit, right? Yeah, those things are dope. And then you get to pick 2 other skills, I think is what you got.
Yeah, so I started with scrounging and tinkering, I believe.
Yeah.
I would probably pick mysticism because my lore for this character is that he was a magician and he grew too old. And now he's a courier because he traveled as a magician and he's like, yeah, I've traveled everywhere, you know?
That makes sense.
So mysticism. And then I feel like tongues. Advanced knowledge of modern and ancient language.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Dope.
So maybe not the most like utilitarian courier, but like a learned traveler, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Faux show. Then we got the Imago and Chalk. Tell me about the Imago and the Chalk.
So the Imago, the life cycle is not in this book, right? It's in the other one, right? Or is it in this one?
No, it's way late. Yeah.
So the Imago start out as like already fairly large cicadas, and then like mature and become like, obviously you see in this art piece, this really very good art piece. Also, I like the panel that's a close up on the face.
Oh my god!
And the face is just like staring at the light. But yeah, the Imago are these massive cicadas that feel mystical, that have faces. They don't talk, as far as I know.
No, I see them as like they definitely look like faces, but it's just their carapace.
Yeah.
Almost like when you see like a face in a tree, but like, why do they all have fucking faces?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that it's just like, it just happens to be like of growth that looks like a face or whatever. Like, they are fucking faces, but like it's just their shell. So it's so weird.
Yeah, they are big and creepy. And like we said earlier, you know, they'll eat your bones. And the other thing is that they're like very much attracted to bones. I think in the beginning adventure, like there's the possibility of like the death of people attracting imagos.
Now,
Um,
why is this?
because they want to get that sweet chalk out of your bones. You know, they're trying to, you know, chalk.
Mm, mm,
And yeah, they have a very interesting life cycle. That there's a really cool graphic and a cool section. That there's a life cycle section of the imago in this book that we'll get to. I kind of wish it was like right around here so that we could instantly go to it, but that's fine.
I can instantly go to it anyway, but like it's that weird one that's like bigger than all the rest of the pages for some reason. So like it's like rotated weird, so it makes a PDF shrink weird if I don't rotate them off. Well, there's also the brood monks too, which like people literally pile bodies of dead away from stuff.
Sorry, I did
so
forget
that the mongols will go over there. Yeah,
dangerous job, you know,
bro. Like stacking bodies of dead so that a giant 30-foot bug can come eat its bones.
I mean, thinking about just like the act of like playing this hex crawl and walking, not that this is all a hex crawl, but the hex crawl brought with this, and you're walking and just overhead there's like several, like a small swarm of just massive, like car-sized cicadas, you know? You're just like, what the fuck, dude?
Well, there's actually, this reminds me though too, they're like, and I don't know if this is maybe a any level of inspiration for it, but there's like 2 different places I think in the world where people feed their dead to vultures. Like one is just kind of like out on some hills, but one literally has like a tower of the dead where they like ring it in the inside with bodies, and then vultures come and eat it. But there's like been a lot of issues where the vultures aren't coming as much and stuff because humans suck, and like it's just crazy. I watched this whole thing and my memory sucks, so if I'm saying something that's culturally insensitive to that, I apologize. But like it reminds me of that a little bit, where they like, it's not the traditional way that we, you know, in the West, like stick them in the ground. It's literally like this whole ceremony of like sacrificing all of it to the vultures.
Tradition that we do in the West that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, it's dumb. Yeah, burn my ass at best. Yeah.
And then the chalk. Yeah, I mean, the chalk is great. It's the stuff of magic. Like when you cast, you have to use chalk to cast. And it's mined from, like you said, that kind of like circle of life thing. It's mined from the bodies of the imago when they pass, or the carapaces of them. I guess when they shed as well, right?
Yeah, they get. I mean, you can get the chalk elsewhere, so you can find enough in the ground to like scrape some out or whatever. But like obviously, like you're gonna get a shitload when you get like in the art, the person's literally in like a suit on the inside of a carapace scraping the chalk off the bones or like the shell of the fucking cicada.
Like chalk collecting is actually a skill in this as well.
Yeah, imagine rolling and getting all that like the chalk cannon and the chalk hammer and shit.
Yeah. And the art here is, I mean, really is some great. I mean, it's really
insane. It's so good.
The cloudlings, you know, those who live on the sky cities, and like my interpretation is, I don't know about you, Ryan, is that some of the sky cities are in okay shape, and a lot of them don't seem like they're in the most okay of shape.
Yeah. Well, and there's only 18 left when there used to be dozens and dozens and dozens. Like they just keep falling out of the fucking sky because, like, that's where we're at in this world.
I would like an adventure in like Cloud City stuff. It would be very cool.
Yeah, for sure. I love the page though here with like the cloudling all fancy and like the armor and stuff, like looking over like you're looking from over this cloudling shoulders, and the farmerling is just all farmerling looking with their gun, just kind of like all pissed off.
I mean, it looks like they're facing off.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So yeah, it's a cool spread, and it's cool. It's like on one side there's a cloudling and it has like the lore, and the other side there's the farmling and it has the farmerling, has the lore. I will say I've been saying farmling a lot, and I know it's farmerling.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's whatever. This, I will say, The first couple of times I read this, I was like, what is the difference between a cloudling and a loreling? I don't understand. I in context of other things I've found, because I was like, are the cloudlings a rich one or the lorelings a rich ones? Like, I don't get it. And then in context in other parts of the book, and then when you get to the glossary, it definitely like everyone in the sky is a cloudling, and the ones that rule are the lorelings. But I do feel like they can mean
squares are rectangles, but all rectangles are squares. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. But yes, I feel like that could be a little bit more clear here. Like that's one of the things I was talking about before, where like if you go to the glossary, it's like it's pretty well laid out. But I feel like, am I wrong? Like, did you read this the first time and think, oh, like, or did you were like, wait, which one's which?
I think so. I read the glossary pretty quick, and also I've read this so many times. It was so long ago that I read it the first time. It's hard to remember the parts that you did. What did I feel like the first time? Because this is like the 18th at this point. So
yeah.
So the Cloud Empress, for which the game is named.
Mm-hmm. Great piece of art. Do you want to just read like the vessel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
During the year of the Century Brood, in the season of Imago, in the moon of the worm, on the day the handmaid turned the sheets to discover only potatoes, the Empress went missing. The Empress should never vanish. Hadn't the Emperor lifted her from the sewer alley, paid off her mother, and met her every need? Had she not been fed the purest chalk to nourish her growing talents? And of course, hadn't she been locked in an impregnable tower? Clearly, the girl didn't care for her subjects. There had been a deal. Her life was meant to belong to the people. Her freedom was a sacrifice to realize the dreams of an empire. The lordlings in Alpha City were broiled. Her absence would not do, especially given the drought of granted wishes. Empresses need time to adjust to their role. Everyone knew that. But 1 year later, and she had failed to produce more than a handful of answered prayers. The courtiers clucked and nodded their heads together, nervous pack squabs. A single voice cut through the chattering. Farmerling betrayal, sleepy Renault said, is the only explanation for our missing Empress. The nobles bobbed their heads in agreement. That must be the truth. The idea of an Empress kidnapped by Farmerling's insurgents sparked the engines of the 29th expedition. Soon the missing Empress seemed less important than the war itself. Dreams of fame and glory, chalk and feast became paramount. Lordlings and their house soldiers crammed into their barges, flooding the lowlands to chase their ambitions and make dangerous dreams material.
Nice chunk of lore right there. It's just so fucking. It's just so good.
And like, so now we've established there is an Empress picked by the Emperor, bought essentially, and forced into a position where she's fed chalk and grants wishes, and is locked in a tower, and she escapes. And everyone's like, it must be the Farmerlings, right? It couldn't be that she didn't choose this position and didn't like it. And I like I like this thing that's like, oh, this expedition started for this purpose, but they've kind of forgotten about the purpose. It's kind of now just about the glory and the sacking of the lowlands, you know?
Yeah. And then what we know is the Century Brood just happens to also bubble up after all this bullshit. Like, couldn't be a worse time. Or a better time.
Very tumultuous time.
You know, I just think they sensed all the bones and were like, you know, it's like worms when it rains. They just like hear the drumming time. And just do up to the ground. Okay, so get into the rules section. So we're gonna breeze through the rules. We've read Mothership 0E, and this is pretty clean and light. We're gonna bounce back to single page. Let me know if any of the spreads are like super dope besides like violence when we get to it. Yeah, so stats and saves, we talked about that already. They both exist. There's 4 stats, there's 3 saves. There's mind, which is your ability to solve problems and stuff like that. Use crests, we call facts. There's heart, which is your emotional abilities, your emotional connection, your communication, your spells, you know, etc. There's strength, which is your strength and melee, and there's speed, which is your speed, and range combat, you know, delicate stuff with your hand, like dexterity kind of. And then there's 3 saves that you do under pressure. So there's reality, which is to resist the false becoming true. There's fear, which is to face terrifying events. And there's body, which is to resist physical trauma, poisoning, and radiation. Those are all going to be all your normal things. When you want to do something risky, you make a stat check. When you want to avoid or endure misfortune, you make a save. It's the exact same wording after all that. I don't know whether this is broken into 2. You roll lower than your most relevant save. If you roll 2 paragraphs when it could have just been 1, but basically for either stat checks or saves, you roll D100 and attempt to roll lower than your most relevant stat. If you roll less than the stat, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail and take stress. So rolling is always bad for you.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's always bad. Like, you should always try to overcome things without being forced to roll, because every time you fail a roll, you take stress, and every time you get stressed, that's bad for you. There's some advice here. Every dice roll changes the situation. It's exactly what I said. Like, basically fail forward, or only make people roll when it's important and when it would change the narrative. Ask for dice roll. What I just said. Ask for dice rolls when the stakes are high. There's criticals that can happen. So when doubles are rolled, so like 33 or 77, the result is a critical. If you succeed with it, it's a critical success. If you fail with it, it's a critical failure. So if your score is 50 and you get a 33, critical success. If your score is 50 and you get 77, critical failure. I like that. Plain, easy. Again, you know. The warden will narratively interpret results of critical stuff. It's a critical. You know, narrative actions happen.
Yep.
It happens, yeah. Advantage and disadvantage. So to roll with advantage or disadvantage, you roll 2 and take the higher the lower. That's how it works. There's 2 paragraphs to tell you that. Range, the distance between... I say that, like, you know, kind of dismissively. They're good paragraphs. I think this is good explanations of it. The second paragraph really talks about, like, when you would get it and what circumstances, because it's not, like, always super clear. But basically, like, you know, when you would get it. I mean... We've played games. I do like the one part, though. It does say if you would ever roll with more than one disadvantage, the result is an automatic failure. I love that. I think it's great. I love.
Inversely, if you ever roll with more than one advantage, it's just like you just did it.
Yeah. Fuck it. Just do it. Yeah. I really enjoy that, especially in a D100 system. The range is so big for that. Like in a D6, in a 2D6 system, that makes a lot of sense to me, because you're like, fuck, you're already at like +4. But I enjoy it in this. It really makes you search for those advantages because the range is so high. Like, your odds are pretty small. Ranges: adjacent, nearby, long range, extreme range. You know what those are. Fantastic piece of art here. I don't know why this piece really gives me like a who's the kid in Gundam? Like the
Hero?
quote unquote good guy. Yeah. Is his name Hero? The
Is
primary
it?
kid in like Gundam 1? Him versus Char? I don't know why this gives me...
Are you doing Gundam Wing or what?
No, Gundam. Like Gundam 1, the Gundam. You never seen Gundam? You ever see Char's Counterattack? You never saw any of the early Gundam shit? Dude, watch early Gundam shit.
I have, but it's been so long. The one that I remember the most is Gundam Wing. So I was thinking,
which is not even in the normal. Like, I don't remember what it's called. Like
in the normal Gundam verse. Yeah.
The Gundam. Yeah, it's one of the side verses. They're all on Netflix, man. Watch the original Gundam movies. They're so good.
Netflix.
I'll give you mine. No, I won't, Netflix.
You can't, actually, so.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why this gives me a very, like, these two people, like, have... like rivalry and love vibes. This art, you know what I mean? Like, am I wrong? Does it not?
No, I totally get it. Absolutely. I mean, it looks like anime protagonist and anime antagonist. You know?
Yeah. Then we get to stress and panic, which is kind of like the meat and bones of the system. So there's some great prose at the top of these, but I'm not going to read it. So Points of stress represent your character's accumulation of negative or overwhelming thoughts and feelings during an adventure. I really love the abstraction of like wounds and stress and all that stuff on this. It's not exact points of like a thing. It's like this overall accumulation of like a wearing down of your everything. So you start with 0 stress. At character creation, you have a maximum of 10. A character's minimum amount of stress can increase due to some gameplay effects. You keep track of stress in your sheet, etc. So you take 1 point of stress whenever you fail a check or save. You draw your weapon. You draw your weapon, you take stress. Someone else draws their weapon on you, you take stress. You inflict a hideous wound. Stress.
You inflict, not take. You inflict a hideous wound.
Oh wait. You kill something you do not need to eat. Or when you take a wound. When you cast a spell and when you come face to face with strange and terrifying entities. So basically, anytime you are injured or injure something, or even threaten violence, or violence threatened on you, stress. Kind of like real life.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, if I was forced to get into like armed combat right now, me as a person, even if I was winning, like, I would be incredibly anxious.
Bro, not even forced into armed combat. If you were just chilling and someone pulled a gun on you, you would be stressed the fuck out.
Absolutely. And it's good because the Panic engine, Mothership, and this, like, combat is punishing. Like, you don't want to fight because that's how you get truly and genuinely fucked up.
Yeah.
Like you absolutely could win a fight for sure, and you can make it out, but like combat, you'll die.
It's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. You really don't want to fight in this game. And I like that. This is clearly not a comic game, and I really like, I mean, I love comic games, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But this game, as soon as you start reading it, doesn't feel like a comic game, and I love that the rules reinforce that. Panic. So stress leads to panic, etc., etc. So panic represents the unpredictable consequences of facing danger and accumulating stress. You make a panic check, win. You roll a crit fail. You see an ally die. You witness more than one ally panic. You experience a devastating setback or loss. You see a grisly wound or an inconceivable horror. And then to make a panic check, you roll 1d10 and compare the result with your current stress. If the result is less than or equal to your current stress, you panic. And then you roll on the panic table. Love that. Love that. So the thing about that too is, like, you have to roll, if you roll less than your current stress. So like the more stress you have, the worse that is for you. Like, it's bad because, like, if you have 1 stress, the odds of you getting you can't panic, right? It says, no, yeah, you have to roll a 1. You have a 1 in 10 chance. But if you have, I mean, it's 10. It's the metric system of games. Like, if you have 7 stress, that's a 70% chance that you're fucking failing. Like, that's crazy. I love it. It's so good. The more stressed you are, the more likely you are to panic, which makes fucking sense.
I also like the panic rule just in and of itself because it follows the roll under and something happens thing. Like, you feel for a second, you're like, wait, so I want to roll over because all the other times in the game you want to roll under, but like really it's just that rolling under makes a thing happen.
Yeah. I mean, yes, completely. Yeah. Also, like, fail forward, but yes. You're trying to succeed. You're trying to make a thing happen. You roll under, you stress. Yeah, exactly. And it feels consistent in that way. So it's good. Then we get to rest. Tell me about rest. This is the page I was talking about where the art does feel like a little different, but it's still beautiful.
Yeah, this one actually does stand out. I mean, I think mostly it's probably the color palette that makes it feel.
You're right. It's very gray.
It's gray, which there's gray splashed in there, but there's a lot of orange and yellow. Very orange dreamsicle. Yeah. So rest. Hey, you can relieve stress through rest, relaxation. Supporting your physical and mental needs. Whenever a party stops to rest for 4 to 6 hours, each party member loses 2 stress. When resting at a safe location, you lose 2 additional stress whenever you sleep peacefully through the night, share hearth or engaging conversation, eat a tasty meal, have good sex, consult with your group before including, spend a tranquil hour in nature.
You could mix a couple of those together.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Consequences of resting. Downtime is the opportunity to develop your character. However, there are trade-offs to consider. When you rest, you might experience one or more of the following consequences. Your food supply dwindles. That's going to happen, at least in my table. A rival makes progress towards your goal. An enemy's plans advance. The warden rolls an encounter, and you are ambushed. It's good to remember that the world is not a static thing. It is going to continue to move even when you're not.
Yes.
Nice to have a little reminder of that mechanically built in.
Yes, the world does not revolve around you. We are post-Galilean in our roleplay.
Well, most of us are. Listen, the Earth's flat, buddy. There's just a big ice wall, and it leads to another bigger section of the world.
Yeah, and Australia's not real. They're all paid actors.
Yeah. The biggest lie in all of the world is takes thousands and thousands of people lying continuously together. Food and drink. So yeah, you need food and drink. It's a necessity for life. Sorry about that. At the beginning of each day. Also, there's a lot of really good prose through all of this, and I'm not reading all of it, but you should read it because it's really good. And I've read this so many times. One serving of good food and drink is equal to one meal for a single person. 10 servings of food drink can be converted into 1 day's provisions. Wait, 10 servings of good food and drink can be converted into 1 day's provisions. Okay. At the beginning of each day, the traveling party loses 1 day's provisions unless all PCs forego eating and drinking for the day. Whenever the traveling party starts a day, without consuming a day's provisions, each party member takes 2 stress and 2 damage from hunger.
Here's the thing. We just read a game, and my mind is already gone on what it was. But what's the game we just read where it's like, who gives a fuck about basic food? You're adult human beings.
Oh, we just read it. It was what game did we just do last?
I honestly don't even fucking remember.
Wow, I can't believe
last week?
Oh god. Not Blister Critters, right?
No.
Oh, it was High Magic Low Lives.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Mm-hmm. Stop yelling. So, but I will say, this doesn't feel like a combat game in the sense that you want to fight, right? It does kind of remind me of Into the Odd a little bit, in that it feels like a travel game or something more so, right?
It's like a survival travel game.
Right. So if you are going to be doing this like summer adventuring party and you are going across the pastoral lowlands and areas of radiation and shit, I do genuinely feel, because like to me, High Magic Low Lives is more often going to take place in the city. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like you're going to be able to just hit a fucking kiosk or something, or like call like the Magic Uber. Yeah. Right. So like who gives a shit about food? This one though, I do feel like this is a really good, clean provisions rule that I would definitely keep, because imagine the side quests. You could have a whole session where you're like, guys, you're out of fucking food. What are you going to do? And they're like, well, fuck, I guess we're going to have a whole session where we like break off from the thing that we're doing. We're going to have a whole day where other people are making progress, and we'd have to go like hunt shit or something. And they could like run into a mago or like, find a water bear or something.
So tracking food and drink actually doesn't bother me as a rule. It only bothers me in what game it's in, if that makes sense. If it fits or doesn't fit, like the idea doesn't bother me. It fits here. It obviously doesn't fit in High Magic Low Lives. And there are other games that I've been like, why would we bother?
Yes. Well, we're playing Dragonbane on every Wednesday night, and there's a bunch of these just like random rules where we're just like, who gives a shit? Like you have to make like we're in the woods and we're all like animals. Like I'm a fucking wolfkin. The one girl's like literally like a bush whacking elf or whatever. You know what I mean? Like her whole shit is like being in nature.
And Ducky's a duck.
A literal duck. So we're supposed to do like bushcraft checks to be able to like make a campsite every fucking time or some shit, or we're not allowed to rest. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are we're all adults with camping gear. Like, why would we need to do that? But Yes, I completely agree with you. I don't mind travel rules. I don't mind, I like equipment encumbrance, but like, I like this because exactly like you said, it feels like it fits this setting and it feels like it fits the style of adventure you're going to have. So
UVG is very much like that too. Like there's a bunch of travel survival rules for a game that's a travel survival game. And you're like, oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah.
Spores, mushrooms, mushrooms, fungi, mushrooms.
Shrooms.
Spores are most often, here, I'll read where should I start on this one? What's the most non-prose part of it? It's all about eating spores.
It's just spores. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
they
spores.
exist in the world. Yeah. Oh no, the cool part about it is the part where they have quote unquote vestigial eyes. But they look mournful and the spore keepers keep telling you, don't worry about it.
That is a good point. Yeah, you're fine. And more spore keepers keep going missing each season, and they're often found as a stack of bones in a spore cellar months after the disappearance. But it's fine. Don't worry.
It's fine, guys. Chill.
Yeah. So spores do have effects. You carry them freeze dried, and you like hydrate them to use them. Or something to that effect. And there's a nice table. You want to roll a D10 for me?
I would love to roll a D10 for you. I'm rolling a D10 right now. I'm doing that.
Okay.
Boom.
Good job.
And it's a 7.
7. So you have a purifier spore that's a rarity of C, which I believe is common. It filters out and eats the radiation and other toxins in a liquid. Remains active for a full day. That's pretty good. Find some toxic water. You can clean it up and drink it.
Yeah, just stick it in there. All these spores are really good. Like there's ones that are like acid spore, sleeping spore, like that like do effects. There's like the exploding one, which I love. But there's 2 of them that I really like. The boar beef one, and I can't remember what the other one. Maybe the imitation squab. Yeah, like you put it in water and you get more. Like it puffs up and you get more provisions with it. Like they're just so good. Like, and it makes so much sense in this world to have like spores with eyeballs that can kill you or help you immensely.
It does make sense.
So good.
So now we come to the very hunter part of this.
Oh my god, dude, it's so good. I love this shit.
So spells. To cast spells in this game, you have to ingest or use a stick of chalk. You're basically like goading the slip into existence and then kind of like guiding the slip in its usage. Magic lives in the teeth. Frightening caregivers pulled their children's wisdom teeth, cutting off magic at its roots. Couriers trade these teeth, and they always fetch a good price among desperate magicians. Each spell is going to cost. To cast a spell, you got to do something with chalk. Use additional sticks to increase the effect. Recite the spell's words. You take 1 stress. You make a heart check. If you fail, you take stress, and you roll 1d10 on the miscast table. And if you roll a critical success, your spell is cast as if 1 additional stick of chalk was used to cast. Thank you for baking in the crit success rule to casting. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
And also making it, frankly, easy. You roll with disadvantage when casting spells without your wisdom teeth. Ryan, do you read that as you as a person or you your player character?
No, it's a player character.
Okay.
I have one.
I have one left too. So
yeah, it grew in fine without pushing any teeth. So I just left it.
Yeah, same.
Oh, I just got bonus tooth.
Not the other side. Yeah, 1 extra tooth. What are you gonna say?
I will say there's a narrative part that I loved so much. It's like the only paragraph you did completely skip over. But it's the chalk encourages a slip, but chalk alone is not enough. A spell is a poem personified. Throw chalk and breathe the words of our mothers and grandmothers passed down from warm hand to warm hand. Villages form around a single spell, cultivating it for 100 or 200 years until it's perfected. The idea that like, that like some poem that you all speak helps you like craft this spell better. So for hundreds of years through generations after generations, you just like filter, like you just perfect the words to say, and a whole village will grow around trying to perfect the words to this fucking spell, makes magic feel so deep to me and so powerful and so much more than just like, oh, I found a scroll, you know what I mean? Like it feels so, it makes magic like folkloric, you know what I mean? Like it makes it feel real and ancient and powerful to me in a way that, like, I don't know, that's one of my favorite paragraphs in the entire fucking book. I don't know why, but like it just, I don't know, there's so much in it.
It's a very, very cool part, and it does add that like deep historic lore of magic, and also it like builds your world because you can come across a town that like you're looking for a new spell, and like this town has this is the spell that they do, you know, to make it rain or whatever weird effects there are. Yeah, make it rain, baby.
Anyway, so yeah,
moving on to page 36, which is the spell table.
My God, bro, my fucking God! Just pick one because I'm gonna pick some and I'm gonna talk about them because they're fucking amazing. Let me go into
26. Just because it's a weird one. 26 is sleepy clone shape. The caster shapes nearby dirt, clay, or other material into a replica of a character known to the caster. The clone snores and mumbles as if the character were asleep. The clone lasts for 6 hours or until woken up. Imagine going to wake up, like putting this into sneak out, and then going to wake this person up, and you wake them up and they turn into a pile of mud. You know? It's the after effects, though.
Oh my God, dude. The after effects is my favorite fucking part. I'm using this in everything ever.
The caster finds the human form disgusting for the next 3 days. They gain disadvantage on fear saves when around other humans during this time period.
It's like a failure table, but it's not. It's just the cost of you using the fucking chalk is just the shittiness that you have to deal with after. You know what this reminds me so much of? What I read this so many times, and it hit me like a fucking train when I realized it. You know what this reminds me so much of? It's an anime. You get a power, and then bad shit happens. What am I talking about?
Absolutely.
You know
what I'm talking about?
No. I'm talking specifically with the anime.
Oh, Darker Than Black.
Darker Than Black, bro. Like, it's so fucking Darker Than Black. Like, the one dude is like, oh, I can cast anti-gravity, then I have to break one of my fucking fingers.
Yeah.
Like,
I have to eat a cigarette, you know?
Dude, the cigarette lady? But the one girl's like, fuck it, I just gotta chug a Guinness. Boom, make it rain. You know what I mean? But like,
that girl in that show has the best power. She's like, I can use a power just to chug beer afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But the one guy, like, stack rocks. Like, some of them are good, some of them are bad, and like it's just fucking. That reminds me so much of this. Like, so much of this. Honestly, like, I could give two shits about the spells. Like, I do. I obviously care. But like, I read the after effects so much more than the actual spell effects because I thought they were so interesting. Like, the form of vermin, where like you target a caster or a nearby character, transforming them into a swarm of eels, rats, mice, or bats. It lasts an hour. And blah, blah, blah.
Eels, baby.
Yeah. But like the effect is the caster loses one finger or toe for each vermin that is not adjacent to the swarm and the spell ends. So like you could just be fucking fingerless. You know what I mean? Like that's, but some of them are so random. The floor door one, the effect, like you draw a chalk door or whatever, but like the caster cannot willingly walk through a doorway or arch for 3 days.
Like, I like how long they are, too. It's like 3 days.
Bro, the Dream Spy one, the caster gains disadvantage for a month.
Oh, wow, a month.
Bro, it's funny. Meat Castle said there are no old magicians for a reason because they all fucking die from the effects of their fucking spells. Like, I don't know. To me, like, the spells are really, really good, but the after effects, for whatever reason, just, like, strike such a deeper chord for me where I'm like, I love that these aren't even, they're not just, like, little costs. They're massive costs. And in a lot of other games, these would be the miscast table. You know what I mean? But these are, if you succeed. Yeah, if you succeed, you get what you want, but you also have to deal with, like, the caster's maximum damage per wound is reduced by 2. Like, I don't know. The caster requires someone else to feed them for the rest of the day. because you turn nearby milk
Feed
into
me,
curds.
Seymour.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. I don't know. I love it. I love it so much. All right. Crest.
Crests
Crests
are
are dope.
cool.
Crests
Crests are
dope.
so cool. And they're essentially these weird trinket magic items that give you the ability to create like one effect. And they have a variety of rarities to them, from like major, standard, trinket, and I think that might be the lowest one. But yeah, I'll read the thing. The bigger the crest, the bigger the ego attached to it. The wealthy collect dozens of crests and trade them in exclusive circles. While most crests are immensely valuable, some are more common than others. Trinket crests regularly make their way from lordling houses into the hands of cloudlings and farmerlings and come into hundreds of varieties. Some litter junk drawers in scrapyards, their effects worth less than the chalk needed to power them. Standard crests, however, build and destroy fortunes and dynasties. Each standard crest holds power rarely given to mortals. Major crests are one-of-a-kind works of art, however beautiful they all might be. Crests are remnants of the torturers. Cloudlings' descendants chipped away at the ancient monuments at the center of their cities like ravens, pulling off the shiny objects to play with. Most of the 18 remaining cloud-sitting monuments sit crumbling, their collected power pilfered. Using a crest is riding a bucking pack squab. Your arms shake under the expelled energy. Your mind must stay calm to direct the consequences. Even a single misdirected thought can mean disaster, and the most sane lordlings have an unspoken fear of using their oversized jewelry. To use a crest, make a mind check. If you succeed, you do the effect. And if you fail, you gain 1 stress and roll 1d10 on miscast table. Crest can be used once before their symbol must be recoded with chalk, because chalk.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how I read that is like their torturers left these statues with these stuff all over them, with these like symbols, and people just went and like chipped the symbols off, coat them with chalk, and use them to cast spells. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
I like it. It also opens up like a weird type of casting for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to roll?
Dude, you know how cool it would be if you, as a courier who used to be a magician, were like a crest hunter, because you're like, I need to feel it again. I need to feel the magic. Yeah, I'll roll. How many is it?
3d10. I'll roll 2.
Total of 19. So I got the Trinket Crest of Burned Joints. 1 chalk targets a nearby character, creating a painful sensation in their elbows and knees, giving them disadvantage on attacks for 15 minutes. Aw. You just feel old. You feel like an elder millennial.
I rolled a 7.
Nope.
Which, and other times rolling 3d10s, I'd be like, that fucking sucks. But the major crest of selective farmers changes the weather according to the user's whim. Very cool. I like the one above, or the top one, which is the major crest of calling insects. It has a high chalk cost. It's 3.
Mm-hmm.
All insects, including imago, within 1 mile of the user are beckoned to the user's location. Terrifying during the Century Brood, you know?
Yes. Here's my thought, though. My question with the spell, and I would, if I was a DM, I'd be like, I don't know, use it and find out, is like, say I use that crest and then just book it the fuck out of there.
Right.
Are they going to where I used it at, or are they following the crest for a period of time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if we're around a bunch of people, like if I have a barge or some vehicle, pack squab, and a bunch of expedition fucks show up and I hit my crest because I know there's a Mago around, and then I book it and then they attack what's left behind.
I might make that the miscast of this crest. You know, you miscast
that follows you,
and it works, but it's on the crest. It's not where you are. It's on the crest.
Yeah.
So you gotta ditch the crest, or
leave it behind. Yeah. If not, though, I would do it like a pulse. I would do like a poof, and then like they try to find like the ping for where it happened.
Yeah.
But if you book it, they could leave. But yeah, as a miscast, fuck yeah, that'd be so dip to be like, no, it's still pinging.
Yeah,
like,
no, it worked.
Yeah, you dropping it or you letting them follow you, and you look back and there's like 300
Imago. Decision you make.
Yeah. All right.
You got violence, right?
Oh yeah, I can take it if you want. I think. I'm gonna throw this into a 2-page spread for a second because this is a cool 2-page spread. So it's got a bunch of weapons across the whole section here: walking staff, spore launcher, military rifle, work tools, revolver. Dope. So violence is bad for you most of the time. Violence is like casting a stone into a lake. A single motion can cause ripples. So it's sporadic, it's ugly, it's bad for you, it's deadly as fuck. So most attacks automatically hit. Do attacks automatically hit Mothership, or is that different in this?
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
You keep going, but I don't think they do.
No, I'm pretty positive they don't. Well, I mean, if Mikastle's still here, you can tell she's an expert in both these games. But that makes it so much fucking deadlier. It's different. Yeah. Mikastle. Okay. Right there. Mikastle. For those in podcast land, I just held up my pink Primeval Meatcastle t-shirt. That is on my body. Most attacks automatically hit when making a difficult melee attack, you make a strength check. So what makes it difficult is if you're unarmed, your target is also wielding a melee weapon, or you're trying to avoid a nearby ally. So most of the time, if you're trying to hit something, you just fucking hit it. And I like that. Again, like violence is dead. It's bad. Don't do it. And if you do it, it's bad for everybody. Because also that means attacks automatically hit you. And then same thing with ranged attacks. Like on a normal attack, you just fucking hit something. But if it's a difficult attack, you would actually roll for it. What makes a ranged attack different is low visibility, firing further than the range, trying to avoid a nearby ally, or you are trying to impress someone. I like that's on there. It's like, yeah. And yeah, Mikastle said, we talked about it earlier, but like even just drawing your weapon gives you stress, or your weapon being drawn on you. That's so good. Tools of violence. Stressful. Yeah, it is. It's stressful. I love the tools of violence. This is such a clever, just prosy. I love it. It says, know 3 things when you hold a weapon in your hands. 1, a weapon is a flesh render, a terrible beast. 2, an artisan can make all manner of ugly things, elegant or ingenious. And 3, nothing has only one purpose or only one meaning. I love that. I love that. Like, especially number 2, where it's like the thing you have is a terrible, terrible thing. Just because an artisan can make it look pretty doesn't mean it's not a terrible. Doesn't make it less terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god, I love that. I love that. Rounds of violence. Violence is broken up into 10-second rounds. When violence breaks out, people roll. It says basically PCs and enemies, like it happens at the same time, and then you just kind of like take it out, do it all at the same time or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it says it's easiest if all the PCs go, then all the enemies go or whatever, and then you just dictate the results. This is a very hand-wavy, do whatever you want with, in my opinion, do whatever you want with how you want combat to go. And I like that. I like that there's a way here, but that it's so broad that you can just be like, I'll do it the way I want, you know? During a round of violence, characters can make up to 2 actions, but if a character makes 2 actions, one must be a movement action. I like that. I don't know why I like that so much, the wording of it, where it's just like, you can make 2, but if you make 2, one has to be a move. Like, it kind of takes out a little bit of that action economy where you feel like you have a move action, so you kind of feel like you need to use it.
You have to move, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't.
Or if you don't move, you're like, fuck, I didn't move. Was that bad?
Yeah, I really like that. So, example of actions: move, attack a target, grapple, cast a spell, use a crest, reload a weapon, open a door, etc., etc., etc. There's pictures here. Yeah, there's pictures here of armor, of crests, of weapons, of everything. The art on this page is fucking fantastic. I love the living armor we talked about before with like the sellsword.
Eye peeking over. Yeah.
Oh my god. What I also love about this art, Mike, I love that it's like, it's basically the art as if it's on a person, but the person's missing. You know what I mean? Like it's, but then there's like a pile of it in front of them, like laid out. Oh, it's so good. It's so, I don't know. Like it took me like half a second to be like, wait, what is, oh my gosh, that's just their clothes. I'll fold it up. I love it. I love it. It's so good. And then on the bottom of the next page, there's the full armor and the powered armor, which is really dope. The last part of this section is the damage, wounds, armor points, and cover. So damage and wounds, again, damage represents a character's ability to avoid physical injury. Taking damage is abstracted. It's you slowing down. It's you tiring. It's getting bruises, cuts. It's not point for point. You took damage, so you took an individual slice on your body or whatever. It's abstracted for your general physical well-being. When an attack hits, roll the weapon's damage. The target takes that much damage. When you take 10 damage, erase all your damage. You take 1 wound. When you take your 3rd wound, you die. I love it. Love it. So good. Damage can be healed while traveling using meta paste. Other minor stuff. Characters heal 1 wound. That's a wound is like your whole 10 damage stack. A wound every month with conventional treatment. A month. 1 wound a month, and then you can heal 1 wound every week if you have chalk infused medical treatment. I love that. If you take enough damage to take a real wound, it makes sense to be down for a fucking month. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I love how real this game is without trying to be simulationist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of like it's weirdly grounded for how not at all grounded the lore is. And it works incredibly well. I think they go together more than maybe my explanation of it sounds like.
That's good. Armor points. Clothing provides armor. You get armor points. I love the way Mothership in this does armor. I would in my brain went, I would do it slightly differently, and this is how I do it, and I'll say that in a second. But the way it works is damage less than your total armor points. You don't take any. You only take damage equal to when you take damage equal to or greater than your AP, your armor breaks and you take damage equal to the difference. So basically you take no damage until you take enough damage to break your armor, and then you just take all the damage after that. I like that. How I would tweak it slightly, and maybe not for this game, just in my head, I went, ooh, I would use this this way though, is I would have it the exact same thing where there's like, if it's forward and you take 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, it doesn't do anything. But as soon as you hit 4, it breaks. And now it's at 3. And when you hit 3, it goes to 2. When you hit 2, it goes to 1. It gives a little bit more time with the armor to like slowly break off of you. But I would also have, if that's the way that this armor works, like there is no fixing it. You're literally breaking it, and by you still wearing it, it literally eventually breaks off of you and there's nothing left. But that would give you a little bit more time, because I do like the idea, but I also don't like the idea that like you have armor and then suddenly you just don't have any armor if it like completely breaks, you know?
I like your idea. You know, I don't know that I'm as, and I kind of want them to like break their armor and be helpless for a while. But
I do like this. I'm just saying I might tweak it, but it's a very all or nothing. Armor is literally all or nothing. You either take no damage or you have no armor left, and that's it. Covers the thing. You can hide behind stuff. It just gives you more AP. We'll get to it later. That's it. And then we move on to a dope fucking page here, where like this person has like a claw coming out, but then like their shadow has like a wing. I don't know. This is a great page. Death and curses. Talk to me about death and curses, homie.
So when you run out of wounds, right? When you die in this game, you don't necessarily just die. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. I'll read the first couple more sentences because they're good. Instead, the universe is a narrow hallway connected to 100 doors. Basically, when you die, one of those doors slips open a little bit, and a little bit of an alternate you slips into you, and a little bit of you slips into the alternate self, and you're going to gain a curse. So death is ignored for time. You return to the world cursed. Opinions on the cursed like in this world are very wildly from being like maybe a point of entertainment to like something to be pitied. The first time you die, you roll 1d10. On the result or 7 or lower, you are cursed. you remove all damage and wounds, and you roll 1d10 on the curse table, page 2. If you roll 8 to 10, or this is the second time your character has died, you slip away from the world, never to return. So you get a freebie. You know, you get one freebie. I kind of want to roll on the curse table.
Definitely not free.
Well, it's not, but
yes, but yeah. I like you said, I love that. Basically, like the slip opens up, and if you're able to slip in and slip back out, you bring a little something with you, but at least you got back out, you know. And that there's so much good in this fucking game, dude.
Yeah, there is a lot of good. I mean, it's a really great setting, and then the setting is reinforced really well with the rules. It's used well. Yeah, so I'm gonna roll on the curses table. You want to roll on the curses table?
Do it. Yeah, I'll do
it.
What page are we going to?
9. You gain an inhuman hunger. Take 1d10 damage each day you do not drink blood or consume raw meat.
Bro. I rolled a 10. You fall into an unnatural sleep and cannot wake up. You can no longer play this character until a remedy can be found. So you're not alive, but you're not dead, but you can't do anything.
I thought that one was interesting because it's like, oh, I almost died. Oh, I didn't die. Oh, wait.
Yeah. But you can just roll another character and then have to drag the body of your other character around until you cure them, which is kind of fucked.
Litter, store them somewhere, and get some like smelling salts mixed with chalk kind of thing going on, you know?
Yep. I love it. Encumbrance and equipment. You know, I love me a good inventory system. I will say, I want to tell you my favorite part of the equipment list after we're done. Encumbrance. Long story short, you can carry 10 stings. You can carry 10 things. That's it.
Perfect.
Boom. Easy. Things can be combined, etc., etc. Straightforward. Really great. So equipment, basically it's all barter and stuff. Like coin, there isn't money. There isn't, like, if people are like, oh, I've got a new coin, most people are like, you're just a fucking scheming piece of shit.
I was going to say, is your favorite thing if there's not a cost for equipment? It's like,
my God.
It's rarity, right? So it's either common, uncommon, or rare. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
well, yes. Everyone, like, yes. If you listen to podcasts regularly, you know that I fucking hate pages and pages of cost for equipment. Because here's the problem: economy is not the cost of things, right? Like a shovel for a person in a room full of shovels does not cost the same as a shovel for a person with no shovel. You know what I mean? That's just not how it works. I don't give a fuck what you say a shovel's worth. So I like
it's my scarcity.
Barter. Yeah. My favorite part about this entire, and then there's a D100 equipment list. So why don't you just roll a D100 for me?
I would love to.
We'll just each see one piece of a regular ass equipment. I got a 33. What'd you get?
I got a 0. I rolled 2 10s, so that's 0.
Yeah.
I got tape.
you got adhesive tape. It's common. And I got a hanging shower, right? So here's my favorite part about this. Next, each thing, there are rarities, right? Common, uncommon, rare, and at the bottom, well, actually, one of my favorite things before I saw the bottom was I was like, oh, UCR. This is one of the things where, like, you don't need to explain this. People just realize this. And then they put the thing at the bottom. I'm also fine with that. But what are the rarities listed at the bottom here?
Oh, it's this is funny because actually I totally missed the last one for quite a while because I didn't look at this because I was like, oh, CUR, common, uncommon, rare. But it's common, uncommon, rare, and mythical.
Yes. Which one of these 100 is mythical?
I don't think there's any on this list that's mythical.
There isn't any on this list, and I love that so much. I love it so much. No, I love it because there's nothing mythical listed here, but mythical exists out there.
That's very fair. I mean?
Yes, so totally. Like that I don't know why. Like it has to be on purpose, and if it wasn't, just pretend that it is. I love the idea that there's this like rarity of equipment that you literally just don't know what it would entail to be because they're even in this 100 list of equipment, like it's just not listed. Like I don't know, but it's that rare that it's not even on the fucking list. I don't know. It tickles me for a weird way.
Like, dude, you're right. Giving the context for like there is mythical stuff. It's not any of this. It's like, oh, cool. Well, that means like let's say I want to write an adventure for this, and it all revolves around one mythical item. Like I know that that's a level of rarity for an item, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. And the rest of this is like a bunch of tables and stuff. Do we just want to like roll and move through them, or what do we want to do? Names and aliases we already talked about, right? Like you already
talked about names and aliases. I think the rest is like animal friends and foe. There's like NPC morale, and it kind of gives you some stat spreads on some NPCs.
Yeah. I do love some of the stat spreads, but also the lore that's in some of the bestiary part, like the Cloudling officer lore, is really, really good. Actually, that's the first place I saw that like Cloudlings and Lorelings were different. But I do like that it's kind of like that old kind of like I don't know, it hits me like 4E a little bit, you know, where there's like
I still have never read 4E, honestly. I played 3.5 and I went straight to 5, so
I will say, regardless of whether you like the game or not, I feel like the books and stuff around 4E were so good because, you know, like the tiles that they sold with them started with 4E. And one of my favorite things with 4E splat books was like every time you were introduced to a new creature, let's say that like giant spider, right, is in a book, you'll get giant spider, you'll get the stats for giant spider, you get lore for giant spider, and then you will get like tiles which tiles would work to do a giant spider encounter. But not only that, it'll also give you what else is usually around a giant spider. So it might be like around giant spiders, you might frequently find dark mantles and this. So it would literally lay out like an encounter for the first time your characters could like run into a giant spider, like, and talk you through like why the encounter is that way. So like it never just says here spider, it tells you like all the ways in which you can like use the spider, use the lore, and like here's an encounter for like how you would generally run into one. I'm like, that's so good and deep. I like it. Anyway, so what a lot of 4E does a lot too is be like, here's goblin captain, here's goblin chief, and it's like levels up of like the bad guys. I feel like they do this in here, like Cloudling soldier, Cloudling officer, you know, like things like that. Juvenile imago, full imago, ancient imago, and here's your imago life cycle spread.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It is beautifully done. So it's like egg, it's like not little flying thing. I mean, it's like a cat size flying thing to a, like you can see it compared over a person. It's adolescence. And then, it has the little thing. It's like egg, nymph, juvenile, and then full grown, where you can see another person kind of standing next to this massive cicada.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it gives a little blurb on the life cycle, and then imago reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you the priorities, right? Protect the brood, devour chalk, stay dry. That's a great little thing to have in your back pocket, by the way. The imagos would like to stay dry.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love that there's like a reaction for each one. Like,
it's like when threatened, when near chalk technology, dead bodies, when wet, when blinded by a flare or exceptionally bright light, it's funny because by reading this, you're giving context for how to deal with imagos. You know, like I would want my player characters to read this because I'm like, right here, it tells me like when wet, like they might flee. Like when blinded, they might flee or freeze.
Yeah. I love that that's all that information in the table. I love all the proses in the book, but there's sometimes where I'm like, I like getting in a table and being like, oh, I feel like I discovered that. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to write it out for me. It's really cool. I really like that a lot. Prince Bug. Do you want me to read this one or do you want to read it?
Yeah, please do, because I'm a little bit blanking on this one. I was going to summarize it, but I'm blanking.
Oh, this one's so good. So, no, we read the Queen. We're going to read the Prince Bug. This one's dope.
Yeah.
A fit twist scrolling. Prince Bug, the abandoned royalty, a silhouette on the horizon, the distal tip of the century brood, like a dark storm cloud or a drowning tide, the purple wings of Prince Bug cried doom. Generation after generation tell the story of Prince Bug, the imago with a man for a horn. The prince haunts the nightmares of children. The story begins, as many do, with the magician in search of enlightenment. This magician happened upon a great imago sage disguised as a woman and bathing in the river. The sage offered the magician knowledge of the 12 forms of suffering and their antidotes. All the sage asked in return was that the magician bed down with her that night. The next one is one of my favorite lines in the whole book. The magician eagerly accepted, considering himself twice blessed. When morning came, the magician found himself enlightened, but alone. The sage had vanished, leaving only her disguise behind, the robe of human skin that had concealed her true form. The magician would go on to use his knowledge to bend the world to his will and become the emperor. The sage would go on to birth the emperor's only son, Prince Bug. Such stories prey on hatred of both the emperor and the imago. As is commonplace, the story is filled with lies, and the truth is filled with sorrow. So, long story short, the emperor became the emperor because he had carnal relations with an imago sage who gave him enlightenment to rule, and he gave her a child, which is a cicada with a human being for a horn.
Terrifying.
Dope as fuck. Absolutely terrifying. And the art, insane. Like, so good. This piece and the Cloud Empress piece are two of my favorite. Like look at how cool that is. Like, the first time I saw it, I thought it was really abstract, and then I realized, like, no, this is a cicada's head, this is a cicada's back, this is the wings, and this is the human being coming out of it like a horn. It's so good. This is fucked. Then we have the glossary, companions, tools, clothing, cover, tools of violence. It's all the stats for all the stuff that you need there. And then, like, a what do you find page on the back. Let's do our last roll for the day. I got a 91. What did you find?
I rolled a 64. I got an imago egg.
Oh, wow. That's a good time.
Yeah.
That is worth a bunch. For
or
91,
I guess it's small, medium, or large. So it's imago egg, bone skin, giant's fingernail, or powered armor.
Dope. All three great. Those are great.
I know.
All right, 91. I get a book of torn spells, arrested limbs, right? I get a water tester, or I get a sense poem entertainment system. The old SES.
Sense poem entertainment system. Cool.
Human made. Worlds by Watt. Fuck AI. It's not really AI anyway. That's Cloud Empress. We did good, nice. I feel like, on time, because if you chop off the 20 plus minutes that we were in pre-stream and the 15 that we fucked around and not being able to think at the beginning, I think we killed it. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was great. All right.
We focused eventually. Cloud Empress. We're doing a book review on this for those not in the know. It is 5 metrics. We give scores to this. Disagree or agree. Whatever. Each metric is worth up to 10 points. 5 is bang average. 10 is fantastic. Yes. Art and layout is the art. It's a quality, quantity, if it fits the book, etc., etc. It's also the visuals of the layout. Usability is how usable the layout is. The tools comes with it, like maps and stuff. Ooh, I meant to talk about the maps. Now, hyperlinks, bookmarks, like how usable the book is at the table, etc. Rule set is the rule set. If it's adapted rule set, do we like how well it's adapted? If it's original, do we like it? Is it good? Are there parts that could be chopped out, etc.? Originality is what it sounds like. Value is bang for your buck. It's not just a cost. It's all the stuff that comes with it. So, yeah, art and layout, great. Really good.
Yeah. I love the art. There's 4 artists in here, and it all feels like very contiguous. It all feels appropriate and it fits. It's definitely not an art book, you know?
No. It's definitely a game book. It's definitely a zine.
Definitely a game book.
Yeah, it's definitely a zine for sure.
There's not a lot of there's a couple open spaces for maybe some spot art, but there's a pretty decent amount this isn't incredibly long.
Yeah. There's really only the rest page is the only one that really sticks out to me.
Yeah, but everything else, you have that really cool spread with the cloudlings and the farmerlings, and then the imago and the chalk, and there's a lot of really cool art.
The Cloud Empress and the bug prints.
Oh yeah, those are great. What great pieces.
The color is sick. The layout's good. Watt did all the layout for this, and I think it's really well laid out. There was never a part where I feel like. There's lots of pages that are just full fucking words, but I don't know why I just never felt like lost in it. You know what I mean?
It is interesting that we often complain about things not being broken up because it's hard for ADHD brain, but like this did not feel like that at any point, you know?
Because it is broken up though. Like if you really scroll through it, like you rarely go through more than like a quarter of a page without like something breaking it up. Even the way that they laid out the characters, you know, like picture and lore table, like in one spread. I really liked it. Anyways, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I think this is like a very strong, like 7 to 8 for me.
That's exactly where I was at, 7 or 8. So what are you thinking?
I think I'm gonna go with an 8. I really like the layout.
Yeah.
I like that it's like this soft, it's this off-white and black. It kind of almost that color rolls almost into the art. What are you thinking?
I completely agree with you. I think that I think that's also one of the reasons that I don't feel like so much of the wordy parts really hit me, because obviously black on white is like the quote unquote easiest to read by contrast. It's fucking my entire life is in dark mode. I have extra things downloaded to make things that aren't in dark mode in dark mode. So like having it on that parchment background is so smooth. It's like lotion for your eyes. It feels nice.
Yeah. And it also just creates like a consistent color experience, I think, you know?
Yeah. It matches well. That parchment to me feels very Cloud Empress, you know? I will say, to me, the Cloud Empress page and the Bug Prince page take it from a 7 to an 8 for me. I think those two pieces are those stunningly gorgeous.
Crazy pieces. Yeah, I mean, I want those on my wall. It's funny because you get little art cards with the project. You get the
cards, yeah.
Yeah, which are, oh my god, I love this project. By the way, just for when you get this project, it has player aid, like it shows them steps of what to do. You get like this little bounty card because there's like a bounties, like people you can run into, and then the
so good.
They're really cool. I wish they were like 4 times bigger because I would frame them and put them on my wall.
But I rock the fuck out of a poster of those. Hardcore.
Yeah, these are the ones by Imogen, by the way. That's that artist.
Good fucking job. Amazing pieces. Absolutely stunningly gorgeous pieces of art.
So usability, Ryan. What are you feeling about usability?
I think it's fine. I think it's what we would hope and what we'd expect. There are bookmarks. There are hyperlinks. Almost everything is inline hyperlinked as well, which is really nice. If we look at the
only hit this is going to take for me is that it feels a little scattered in a weird way. Like stuff feels around, but it's not so much that I'm like, oh my god. But I'm reading it. I was like, it's a little scattered, right?
It is. Like like there were a couple times where I'm like, I wouldn't mind if this information was here. You know what I mean? Like you said the Imago life cycle, I would have liked in the Imago and Chalk section. Yeah. There's no reason not to. It's 2 pages on its own. You know what I mean? Yeah, like you can move them up sooner. I also think that like the body hopper, I think could be, the body hopper slip page to me, I don't know. It's a random, I don't know. It's fine where it's at, and I don't know where else I would put it, but for some reason it felt I don't know, weird where it was.
I almost think you don't necessarily need the context of the body hopper before you make your character. If you just put it right after the body hopper part, right after the jobs.
Well, you encounter the jobs in the same area, and then the jobs are right after. So if you encounter the body hopper and the body hopper after, it's the same amount of distance away from it. You know what I mean?
Very fair. But I think this is still strong for me. I think this is still, for me, usability. I still think this is a 7 to 8. You know, I'm somewhere in there.
I think it's a 7. What gets me to a 7 instead of an 8 is, to me, I think I don't like the index page.
No, that's true. You don't.
I think it's cramped. I think it feels cramped on the page. I think 2 columns of it would have been better. And like I said, I do think that like if you're gonna do like 95% of all sections, then just do 100% of the sections. You know what I mean? Like for example, like the summer travel page, like is like a headline thing, summer travel or whatever, right? But it's not in the index, and the bookmarks in the index don't always match up. There's like some things that are in the index that aren't in the bookmarks, and some things in the bookmarks that aren't in the index.
Okay,
and cool. I mean, we're getting so fucking nitpicky, but
yeah, I mean that's a very fine. Yeah, so you call it. I mean, for me, I think this is still an 8 because all this stuff is very minor. Even like the whole bit about it being a little scattered, it's really not like so scattered that it's painful. But
Sounds good. Rule set. It's Mothership with tweaks. I like the tweaks.
The tweaks are good.
I like the tweaks.
Yeah.
I like that shit always hits. I like the way that violence is incorporated in the stress. Like even just pulling a fucking weapon. Like you have to think of every time you pull your fucking. You can't even just be like, I'm gonna threaten the innkeeper to get lower prices because you're gonna stress. Like you'll stress. You know, like
everyone's gonna be stressed.
Love that. I love crests.
I like that this. There's a weird wholesome energy to this game that you don't feel when you go through Mothership. And a lot of it
I don't think you should. I don't think you should.
No, you should. No, sorry.
Okay.
That's not a critique on Mothership. That is a compliment to how the tweaks work with these rules and how like violence is obviously not the answer you're always looking for, and instead like an unnecessary like evil or a necessary evil. I'm pretty high on this one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. Spell after effects are my favorite thing in the entire book.
Oh, dude, the spell after effects are so good. But I mean, like the creation of Crest as like another form of magic for everybody that's like very situational. The magic itself, spells are fucking weird, you know?
If you really break it down to like the core gaming things, like it really comes down like those things are what amounts to scrolls. Like realistically, like reusable scrolls or relics of some kind, you know what I mean? So like, but I love the way that they make it that. Where are you?
I'm in the 8s for this one as well. So
yeah, I think it's an 8 for me too. Like to me, it doesn't get to a 9. I enjoy this, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think about this game is that I think that the strength of this whole project is, all of the stuff that's not the dice, and that you could have this exact same game with a different dice system and it would be the same game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I think there's something to be said there. I am really looking forward to, I'm going to play this and I'm going to play the hell of it. And I really, really like it, but I'm interested to see what the future of Cloud Empress is. It like further out looking, like a second edition of Cloud Empress where the rules are even more,
its own.
Yeah, its own thing converted over as a Cloud Empress experience. I think choosing the Panic Engine was a really strong decision. I think there's a lot of stuff to keep there, but I'd love to see this become even more Cloud Empress.
Yeah, I really like the stress in it. I do think there's a way that you could move the stress and panic away from some of those concepts a little bit, and I do. But like I said, I feel like if this game was a D20 roll under, it would still be Cloud Empress. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if this game was like a 2d6 mixed success, it would still be Cloud. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the strength of the project isn't the dice mechanics.
No,
you know?
I do think there's enough rules that interplay though with the lore that help.
Yeah, I think that they are combined. I'm just saying that like if you could run basically the same thing in a D20 system and have rules that tie in the same. I'm just saying like if you took PBTA and took out 2d6, it's not PBTA. Right. You know what I mean? But if you take Cloud Empress and like take out D100 and put in like D20 or whatever, it's still Cloud Empress to me. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying like the rules to me are fine. They're good. I like the tweaks better than the core. You know what I mean? I think it's Mothership at its core that's fine. The tweaks they did are better than like
that's what elevates it. Yeah.
Yes, that's what elevates it. Yeah. 8. Originality. I mean, so it's based on a lot of shit, but it's also really fucking good.
It's really good, and it really very much stands alone. I mean, even if it was just like a Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind game, I mean, how many of those do you even know? But, you know, like giant like insects covered in chalk that you mine to cast spells that will pollute your bones, that later on those same fucking insects eat your bones to get the chalk. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? This is crazy good.
Yes. The bones, the spells, the fucking... Yeah. I mean, there's so many times where it's like, oh my God, that makes so much fucking sense. I love it. You know, the lore is so good. The fact that, again, that they set the hereafter at like the 29th expedition plus the Century Brood plus the missing, like there's just so much.
Oh yeah, there's all that going on. I mean, even just like the project as a whole, this kind of like
Mm.
There's so much stuff that comes along with it that's really cool, like the player aid, the fact that the adventures for the hex crawl are divided up to where you can take them out and just run the adventure, or you could run this massive hex crawl. I like that this does that. I feel like you kind of usually get one or the other. You might get this massive book, you know, but this side skirts that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I like about this.
Where you at?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I hate to go all 8s, but I'm probably still around an 8.
I already had it listed. I already had it in there. Value. So half of what you just said is for value. Like, we're talking about bang for your buck, right?
I was more approaching it from like, it's a great way to do a project, like to present a project. But value-wise, yeah, it's really, you got a lot. So if you had backed the Kickstarter, like someone, you know, like some people I know, the deluxe bundle, which was all of everything. One print of the rulebook, one and PDF, and one print and PDF of the setting book. 5 print and PDF trifold pamphlet adventures, which I think were then expanded to being more than trifold. I think that's the little zines now.
They're zines, yeah.
They're zines now. The patch, the 2 of postcard art, 1 large map, and then all the stretch goals. That was $58.
That's cheap as fuck. I mean, it's going to be more now for MSRP, like cheap. At sale.
If I can find it,
you won't even be able to get some of the stuff too, because some of those things were like day 1 patches or whatever, like the Land of the Cicada patch or whatever.
So big thing is the rulebook's free.
Digitally free. Fuck yeah.
Digitally free. Yeah. If you want a digital version, it is free. And then it's already past October. I guess they haven't updated this, but the first adventure, The Last Voyage of the Bean Barge, is supposed to come out as free here pretty soon. And then the rest of it's not out yet. They have some prints and some PDFs upcoming. But I think they need to update the time frame. Need to update the time frame because I think it was supposed to be at December 2023. And
what?
It's actually, what's up?
Go. I said, what? Let's go.
Yeah. But listen, right now, get the rulebook. You could just download the rulebook, the PDF, for $0.
Meat Castle said Bean Barges on Drive-Through RPG for free.
Oh, so you can get the game free and an adventure for free.
The starting adventure, you get the core rulebook and the starting adventure.
Yeah,
free right now. Insane. And again, everything that we got with the deluxe box, like the 5 bonus zines that are by amazing writers, like the core book, the core lore book with the hex crawl, like there's so much content, like, and only more coming. Value wise, pretty high on this shit.
Yeah, yeah, pretty high. I mean, we're getting up to like 9-ish territory for value.
Well, we talked about before, like when the game's free, it's hard not to, like, you can play the game for free.
But not only just the game, the adventure, like the first lead-in adventure, and it's a fun adventure. It's a cool whodunit, you know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking of a 9. I'm doing value 9.
We're gonna break our 8s, so we're gonna go 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
So total on it is 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9. 41, baby. That is
41. Respectable territory.
As soon as you, that's more than respectable. As soon as you hit 40 or above, you're looking at like top 5 at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm good with this. I love this project. I really like Watt, but like, like just not me liking Watt personally, but like the game is good. The setting is good. The adaptation of the rules, I think, are done really, really well. I would like to see this be a project that continues to go forward and has more stuff, you know?
Well, here's the thing about Watt and Cloud Empress, right? Because here's the thing, right? There's a lot of people out there that make good stuff that suck. There's a lot of great people out there that make stuff that sucks. Watt is a great person that made great stuff. Yeah. So there's something to be said for that, you know? Yeah. And not only that, when you listen to the interview that we had with them, they care so much about the user experience, you know, and they care so much about making sure everything was done right, making sure that everything was done ethically, making sure that everything was like delivered on time, like correct, like just every aspect of it. There was so much care and thought into the project and making sure that like it both hit their vision and was rewarding to the people that put money to make it happen, you know. And that's, you know, it's important to respect your backers. It's important not to, you know, go on Twitter and talk shit about your backers. When like one person does something, you have like 1,000 backers, so you want to just talk shit to all of them. When they're giving you money to make your project happen, you probably shouldn't be a fucking prick about it. And WoT doesn't do that, so it's great. I love it. WoT's fantastic. You will see WoT again, so let's wrap up with that. The Life and Death expansion was announced. It is the Land of the Living and the Land of the Dead, each of which are standalone 50-page Hector Crawls expansions. I'll be surprised if they stop at 50 pages unless they're written already. It's dropping April 2nd, 2024. We've already talked to WoT. WoT will be coming back on the show. I don't know what we're going to do, whether it's going to be an interview or another game or whatever. I don't care. If WoT wants to come back, WoT's coming back. Love to have them on the show. And we'll just keep adding to the Cloud Empress playlist. That's it for us, except tomorrow we're going to have the Meat Castle Gameware, Christian Sorrell.
Meat Castle Gameware?
The Meat, who did additional editing and whatnot on the project, who's run a ton of Cloud Empress and et cetera, et cetera. They're going to be coming on the show tomorrow with me, myself, and Josh Demansky, also known as Unenthuser, who is now the, I guess, co-person with Goblin Archives for Liminal Horror, and who does the majority of our side quests.
Co-person. They're also a person.
Yeah, for a side quest that we haven't done one in a while. This is side quest number 5. We're going to be doing Cloud Empress. So we'll be playing Cloud Empress again, but with Meat Castle running it. So we'll explain it a little bit more so that you can watch all the Cloud Empress episodes and then watch the side quest and understand how to play the game. That's happening tomorrow. And then again, for the next like 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to be jam-packed with shit. So expect 2, 3, 4, sometimes episodes a week. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. If you are listening on podcast, you know, hit subscribe or whatever. We track it gives us Spotify followers now, which is cool. If you're listening on YouTube, do us a favor, also hit that subscribe button, like all our shit. We really appreciate it. Hit our links, they're everywhere. You all have a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time for Cloud Empress side quest. All right. Woo! Talk to you later, everybody. Bye, buddy. Bye.
Bye.